video on a couple of the Rathma, T2 Rathma fights. I decided to skip T1 Rathma because there's really no point fighting T1 Rathma, because if you die, you lose to T1, and if you die, you lose to T2. And in the fights, they both do percentage health damage, so both fights are pretty risky, T1 and T2. Not really too big of a difference in my mind. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting this to players 8, so essentially I can skip the Mendelin phase, because when you run so many hours of practice, I think I've done like 10 hours of practice so far. I have about 4 or 5 wins, which isn't a great win rate. This fighting Mendelin takes so much longer each time. So we set the players to 8 before we go in. As soon as we get to Mendelin, we set the players to 1. Thank you, Stoic, for this little pass through here. And I'll timestamp the videos on the phase 3 fights, which I'm looking for some of the veterans to give me a little bit of advice on here. In my actual Rathma fight on the ladder, I have some gear that I will switch. I'll buff the part of the Wolverine and Oak Sage with, so that I have a little bit more life. It should be around what it is here, maybe a little bit higher. You can see my fire res is 1 below max, and I have low lightning res. Not really that big of a deal on the wall. Maybe if there was conviction, or I haven't really found in too many scenarios that where I'm actually getting beat pretty badly by ads. So we're just gonna go like this. On live, probably low lightning resistance. Alright. Actually seen in someone's video, they did not drop their potions on the floor when they drop their cube, which I thought maybe is a pro strat instead of going the way I'm doing it. I also know that one of the guys, Ozik, said in one of his videos, don't fight on the side where there's bug Fisher Skelly, so when the Fisher Skelly spawns outside of the map, like the one is on the south side there, like don't fight over there. So we'll take that advice. I'm playing a little tough far this morning, 7 a.m. It's my first fight, and just woke up, so this fight's not really too critical. I can like phase 10 stuff here, so not really worried about phase 2 so much, even though it's good practice. Really more worried about phase 3. I will try to call out some of the things I focus on in that phase 3 fight when we get there, aside from the other things that I've already said. One up. Coordinate that. A lot of bug skellies. We don't want to stay in the middle of the skellies in either phase. That's when you get hit pretty hard. In both phases, I try to just pay a little bit more attention to where Mendelin is, where Rathma is, because it definitely helps to avoid the bone spears as long as you're watching here. The other thing you'll notice a lot, if you're not familiar with this fight, is like the bone prism is kind of annoying. Not annoying, but it will trip you up and get you kind of caught by a couple bone spears if you have your cursor too far in front of you, at least on the Maul Druid. So try to keep the cursor on myself mostly as I move just a little bit in front of Bone Prison pops up, that it just kind of automatically attacks it. For this phase, I like to, the third phase, I like to put the rejuves in slots 1 through 3 and the antidotes in 4. I've done it both ways, where the antidotes are just in the inventory, and that works too. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm more comfortable with. I've also played around with turning the go pots filter on and off, because I can't tell really. Well, in the Rathma fights, it shows the pots that you drop. It's kind of annoying to, if you get caught by a bone prism or something, or you need to attack Rathma or Mendy, and you click the pot names on the floor, they kind of crowd the screen, so it's tripped me up in the past a couple times. You just refill here. And after I do the first fight, I'll be tagging the timestamps on the phase 3, so if you're watching this, you probably don't want to watch the phase 2 fight at all. If you do, maybe only once. Most people probably don't have trouble there. I didn't have trouble there. Okay, so I'm going to talk this out to myself too before the thing, because it's helpful for me. So the main things I'm going to try to do is dodge bone spears, kill knights as soon as they come up. I don't want to phase Rathma with Mendy if I can avoid it. I mean, I usually skip that part, but I like to try to refill my belt before the Void Knights and then bring them up, and also have the antidote in done. So let's see how this goes. When the Fisher Knight comes out, Fisher Skelly comes out, is about when these guys pop up, and you can see I accidentally used one of my potions too early too. If you don't know where Rathma is, it's usually not the best sign. Okay, so this is what I meant about trying to like fill the pots outside of the phase. That's a skeleton. Sometimes it's good to try to stay close to Mendy, because you will not trigger the Sledge Nova, or you won't get hit by the Sledge Nova. One of the other things that happens too is sometimes you're refilling the pots, and you get bone prism. That pretty much sucks. Oh. Probably talking too much, but you can see you got pretty far there. I would have liked to trigger the third wave this time, but sometimes that's how it goes. So I'll shut up and focus, and we'll do another 2 fights for this video. And we'll take it from there. Just replacing my file so I can start over faster. All right. Yeah, a little disappointed with the last run. I think probably, that's how it goes sometimes. We're just like distracted for a second and then the fight's over. Normally that's in phase 3, but okay. The only thing that's annoying when you're trying to run 2 players 80 is sometimes you get stuck between the mobs and you have to hit them a couple times, so I get cast hunger before I go in here, so I'll have it up. It helps to turn your music volume off and just have a regular video game sound so you can hear Rathma a little better when he casts his bone spears. It's 7 a.m. here and my son is like hard sleeping downstairs, so I do have it up, but it's not really that high. Another thing, one of the tips they gave me was don't when you're decrepified, you can just kind of run around until it wears off. Otherwise, it's a little dangerous. The second phase here isn't really a big deal, but obviously in the third phase it's much more dangerous. It's always nice to have Rathma on the screen so that you can see his bone spear. Sometimes he gets them from off the screen, and that can be a little bit dangerous because you'll be fighting a skelly or something, and then all of a sudden his bone spear will come. Also, definitely want to take down the Fisher Skellies because they put you in pressure hit recovery a lot on top of all the other damage, so pretty important to take them down besides them just hurting generally. Also, when you put the pots into your belt, you want to kind of keep moving generally. You don't want to stand in one place too long, so it's not a bad idea to put a couple pots in the belt and then move and then put a couple more. It seems obvious, but when you're used to playing a mauler, kind of just run up and slap things in mostly every part of the game. Alright, I'm not gonna talk. Focus. Take one extra antidote. Really, nothing's good. feel like the other half the time spent just refilling your belt after the second phase, which is not a big deal, but you know, these things add up when you're practicing. It'd be nice to just be able to go into the T3 fight, but I don't think there's any way that I know how to do that. You can attack Mendy during this phase. It will probably force trigger the Skellies though. Skellies, don't run. Don't run. Pretty terrible run so far. I'm gonna try to let him do this. That I don't have to deal with it going the belt during the Skelly phase. It's nice when they're together. I think I get double damage off them being together because I have splash damage. The druid has a cheat death mechanic there. So the worst is when you have like one Void Knight floating about. Another not so great run. I think the first phase, obviously, I didn't do well. The Void Knights kept, not the Void Knights, Mendelin and Rathma kept getting in my way when I was trying to attack the Void Knights. It really doesn't happen that much. I was surprised to see it happen there. You know, it's kind of just how it's been the past couple of games. So, you know, sometimes I get a good run in. Like a perfect run and it goes really well. Sometimes it's been like this. So aside from just doing it over and over for some good repetition on training the brain to do things like better and have it tactically. Just try to look for pointers to remind myself each time on the best ways to do things. It's nice to also have the 4 belt slots of rejuves. Maybe that's a better play than having the antidotes.
My brothers have escaped you.
Oh, also I know Stoic said not to stand in the fire because Rathma's fire hurts a lot. And it's magic damage, it's not fire damage. Sometimes when they're clumped up, it's nice to get the like 2-for-1 on the hits, so. to go in when I have this big prep on. So I try to just take out the Void Knights. Which, because I want my hunger to last longer, I have more plus skills on the CTA. But it's good to have 4 workout slots of potions when we go into the last phase. Start some. Alright. That's practice. So any tips would be appreciated besides generally getting good. Thanks for watching.